Hello everyone, this is John from EastCoastArmory.com, and I'm here today with a model showcase video for this radio-controlled 1/16 scale T26 E3 Pershing. If any of my older subscribers are getting a little sense of deja vu watching this video, that's because this is the second T26 E3 Pershing that I've done in this scale and to the similar specs that you see here. The other model that was built for my own personal collection, and video of that model can be found on my video listings. This model here, however, was built for commission and belongs to a private collector. Like I often mention in these videos, I often take on commission build projects from vehicles ranging from 1/35 scale all the way up to 1/6 scale. For availability and pricing information, that would be best by contacting me through the email address listed below, which is info@eastcoastarmory.com. The person that commissioned me to build this model here saw the video of my M26 or T26 E3 that's on the video listings. He liked the model so much that he went ahead and contacted me to build him one built to similar specs. However, this model differs from the other model in several key modifications, in which we'll be going over these mods and add-ons in this video. The kit itself started off as the Tamiya 1/16 scale full option M26 or T26 E3 Pershing kit. These kits assemble very well. This particular version of the kit differs from the versions that I've built in the past in that this one here is the current generation of T26 E3s, and what Tamiya did was they went ahead and replaced some of the parts on the original kit with better, more efficient components, which I'll be going over in this video as well. First, a quick walk around the model. First, the most noteworthy mod that the tank received from the kit original is that of the road wheels and the return rollers. The kit original utilizes several CNC'd steel bushings for this application. The purpose of the bushings is that it gives metal on metal surface with the road wheel and the axle and allows the wheel to rotate freely. Rather than utilizing the bushings, the client requested to have the bushings replaced with that of miniature ball bearings. The ball bearings are a simple drop-in installation and are a direct swap from the kit original bushings. This is true for the road wheels as well as the return rollers. The ball bearings, when fitted to the axle, do help the road wheel spin a lot more smoothly compared to the kit originals. Now, it's important to note that the kit original components do operate and do perform well, and the ball bearings are not absolutely required in order to have the tank work, but once added, do help the tank perform a little bit better. In addition to the ball bearings being utilized for the road wheels and the return rollers, they were also utilized for the places where the torsion bars exit the hull of the tank. So every place on the suspension where there's movement is being housed inside of a ball bearing. In addition to the ball bearings, the tank also features several other replacement parts from Schumo. This would include the external periscope brush guard detailing, as well as a Schumo replacement elevator arm for the gun elevation system. The kit original plastic arm that connects the gearbox to the gun was replaced with the Schumo one, which was made out of CNC aluminum and has a metal fastener. The component, again, is a drop-in installation, very easy to do, and offers a lot more rigidity compared to the ABS plastic variant found on the kit original. Another mod which was installed that was supplied from Schumo was that of the replacement front idler tension system. To adjust the front tension on the Pershing series, that is done via the idler mount, which we have here. This version here is the Tamiya kit original and is made out of die-cast metal and is also a simple piece to install from the kit. Due to the geometry of this component here, you can adjust the track tension by rotating it in these 6 positions that we have molded into the arm as well as into the socket, which gets inserted into the swing arm. However, because of the geometry of the 6 lug design, the amount of rotation that you can do to adjust the track tension is going to be very limited. The Schumo component in comparison is made out of casted brass, and the geometry of the actual adjuster is made out of fine machine teeth. The advantage of the fine machine teeth is that you can adjust the track tension in smaller increments compared to the broader stroke system from the Tamiya. The Schumo system is a drop-in installation and installs very easy and also effortlessly. However, one mod that does need to be mentioned though is that to keep the front idler retained to the tank, the Tamiya kit has a small little cotter pin which gets inserted into this section here. Now, on the Schumo version, the hole for the pin is a lot smaller, and the Tamiya pin I found not to fit in the Schumo component. Rather than trying to drill out the brass piece, and which will actually weaken the mount, I went ahead and fabricated 2 new cotter pins out of a piece of spring steel. The spring steel was forced in a way to create the shape of the cotter pin, which once installed acts as the kit original as it keeps the piece firmly in place, and the pin itself will not back out during the tank's operation. To operate the tank utilizes a 2 GHz radio. The one advantage about the 2 GHz radio is that because of the way the 2 GHz radios communicate, there is no need for an external antenna. Because the external antenna is no longer utilized, there is one less wire needed to be connected to the turret subloom in order to have the model operate. This also means one less connection to be made with a quick connect snap, and also one less wire that can get tangled when the tank is in operation and when the turret is turning. Also, while on the turret rotation, one mod that I made to the Tamiya gearbox was stiffening the turret rotation motor gear. On the Tamiya tank, there is an interrupter gear on the turret rotation gearbox, which allows the turret to rotate and skip a tooth in case the turret gets hit by an obstacle, or if you need to get access to the turret, you need to remove it. If the piece was solid, you would cause damage to the gearbox if an obstruction was hit. However, even though this design does protect the gearbox, one problem that it has is that after a little bit of use, the interrupter begins to snap prematurely and the turret will have a hard time rotating. To fix this, I simply took some CA and carefully added it to the interrupter gear, which stiffened it and made the turret rotate now with a lot more power and force compared to the early snap system that it had prior. Another mechanical difference that was made to the model that was actually done by Tamiya was that of the headlight operating system. On the original M26 Pershing from Tamiya. The kit utilized small bulbs for the use of lighting the headlights, as well as lighting one of the taillights in the rear. Since that version of the tank, Tamiya apparently upgraded their kit, and this version of the Pershing comes equipped with a fiber optic lighting system to facilitate the lighting of these components. The fiber optic lighting system is a lot more efficient and is a lot more user-friendly compared to the old system with bulbs. One key advantage with the fiber optic is that for the bulbs, it was very easy to break a bulb, specifically in the rear, when removing and assembling the top and lower and upper deck. The LEDs for the headlights are also a lot brighter and show a lot better compared to the original bulb configuration. One benefit of the Tamiya fiber optic system compared to the original bulb system is that of the taillights. With the original bulb setup, you can only make one taillight functional. However, the kit does contain two hollow taillights, and both taillights do contain clear plastic lenses. It's also important to know that both taillights already have pre-drilled into the hull a little hole in which to have the light emerge and enter into the taillight. With the bulb setup, you were kind of handcuffed in that only one bulb was present, and to add a second bulb would have required a little bit of customization and a little bit of soldering. However, with the fiber optic setup, all that's required is to add a secondary length of fiber optic into the light box. However, it is important to note that not enough fiber optic is contained in the kit to do this, so you will need to track down some fiber optic on the internet that is similar in dimensions to the Tamiya kit variant. Once the fiber optic is obtained, it's a simple plug and play assembly, and greatly helps the look of the model in having both taillights functional as opposed to the one. In addition to what was mentioned before, the tank also features a recharge jack, which is located in the front assistant driver's hatch. This is typical for all of my 1/16 scale radio control builds, as once the vehicle is fully built as the condition you see it here, you don't want to go ahead and take the tank apart continuously, as by doing so will add damage to the finish as well as possibly some of the detailing. To get access to the recharge jack, you simply open the hatch. With a plier, you pull out the little pull tab, to which then the plug would emerge, and then hook that up to your recharger. Once the tank is fully recharged, you simply unplug the jack, stuff the power cord back into the hatch compartment, and then close the hatch, and you're ready to roll. While on the hatches, all of the crew hatches are fully functional as per the kit. This would include the two bow hatches, as well as the two turret hatches, which include the commander's copula, as well as the loader's hatch. All of the detailing on these hatches are kit supplied and have been all painted and weathered. This would include the periscope inserts, as well as the headrests. Another detailing that was requested by the customer that I don't typically do on my other T26C3 Pershing builds is that this tank here does have the capability of mounting on the side skirts. Now, the side skirts that this tank have are included with the kit and are designed to be removed and mounted on via small fasteners. However, in the past, most other people don't necessarily require them to be built and are typically just left in the spare parts bin. However, one of the features that the customer wanted on this build was the ability to have his side skirts pre-built and painted. The side skirts were built, painted, and weathered to the exact same specs as the rest of the vehicle. They simply mount on as per the Tamiya instructions via the small supplied fasteners. Now, it's important as of note that even though the tank will operate and function perfectly fine with the side skirts on, it is not really recommended to take the tank and run it outdoors with the side skirts on, in that if the tank brings up any sort of debris or any other foreign material via the tracks, it will put a lot of wear on the plastic fenders and can cause issues, namely breakages on these components here. So the side skirts themselves are okay to add, to leave it as a shelf desktop display, or to drive the model in an indoor setting or in an external environment where there's little to no foreign materials to be scooped up by the sprocket. As for the rest of the external detailing, this is identical to the other T26 E3 Pershings that I've done in this scale. These additions would include the addition of the little canisters for the headlight plungers, which are mounted on the front bow headlight brush guards, as well as your standard Tamiya detailing on the rear engine exhaust area. One thing to keep of note on the exhaust is that on these Tamiya Pershings, the tow cable is made out of standard plastic, because of which it is very fragile and is in a very snag-prone location. It is very easy to snap off the eyelet that connects to the bottom tow hook. So when handling one of these vehicles that are equipped with the standard stock tow cable, it's best to do it with care. Two quick mods that I did to this model that I never really mentioned before in my other builds that really helped the look is that on the travel lock itself, drill a small hole in the travel lock portion where the top part of the lock makes contact with the bottom portion. On the real travel lock actually threads into this location and keeps everything in place. With a simple Dremel, you drill a hole in the pre-molded in location, and by doing this, does help the look of the travel lock. Another quick mod that regrettably I didn't get in a photograph is on the tank's siren. On the rear portion of the siren on this build, I went ahead and added a small little piece of floor wire that connects the siren to the tank's hull. By adding the small little piece of wiring, greatly helps a bit of detailing, which is missing on most 1/16 scale vehicles, and once added, does greatly help the look of it. The cable itself emerges out of the rear portion of the siren and enters into the side portion of the tank where the blister is for the side hatch. Moving our way to the tank's turret, just like with the hull, the tank's turret features the same mods that I've made on 1/16 scale Pershings in the past. This would include removing of the turret seams, as well as drilling out the bosses for the engine lift lugs, which are located on the turret's lower left-hand side. Moving our way up takes us to the tank's antenna bases. The model features the MP48 spring antenna base, as well as an MP65. The MP48 is the kit original, and the kit supplied unit is very nice and is very functional. However, for the secondary location, the kit's turret supplies you with a molded-in slot into the turret casting in order for you to fix the aerial antenna that connects to the RX. Keep in mind, these kits were developed before the 2 GHz radios were around and featured and needed to feature an external aerial. The problem is using the kit antenna will greatly hurt the look of the model and is an eye blemish. Now, in the past, I would run the older antenna through the MP48, which would conceal it and also keep the functionality. However, since this tank is 2 GHz, that is not necessary. The MP48 that you see, again, is the kit original, but was modified in order to have the antenna mounted. If you try to insert an antenna in the kit unit, it would be impossible, as the little mounting nub is far too tiny and too small for you to mount on a wire. The unit was reworked so that the wire could be added, as well as the knurled end tips, which are found on these antennas on USAFV. As for the secondary location, the slot was plugged over with a resin disc, and an EastCoastArmory.com flexible resin MP65 unit was added in place. Both units feature porcelain insulators, and the porcelain insulator portions have been painted. This is one location that a lot of people make a mistake on building American AFV in almost all scales. The porcelains on USAFV are a reddish amber color and are glossy. By adding this to your build also greatly helps the look of the pieces. Moving our way to the tank's M2 HB 50 caliber machine gun, the unit that comes with the kit is exquisitely done. It's very nicely detailed and builds very well. The gun is fully pivotable in both elevation as well as rotation. The 50 caliber ammo tray is also functional, as well as the feed tray cover. These two are two portions of the gun that a lot of modelers don't realize are designed to be functional. They're either glued permanently shut, or in many cases with the feed tray, I've seen even glued upside down. One mod that greatly helps look at the gun is by simply taking a Dremel and dremeling out the barrel section of the machine gun, which greatly helps the detailing. Other than that, the piece was simply painted, weathered, and the handles were painted to represent red Bakelite, which was common on 50 calibers of this period. Finally, moving on to the tank's paintwork. The paint and weathering that you see here is standard that I've used on all of the other T26 E3s that I've done in the past. However, one thing that is different is that of the markings. Rather than using the kits supplied water slide decals, I went ahead and used Archer dry transfers. The Archer dry transfers were supplied and were requested by the customer, and it was my first time utilizing this media for markings. The dry transfers are different in their application than the water slide decals, as instead of wetting a piece of paper and sliding the decal onto the tank, you simply cut out the marking from the paper and actually rub it onto the tank with a dull piece of wood. Once the piece adheres to the vehicle, you simply peel off the mask, and this decal and the marking is permanently affixed in place. One advantage that this system has over water slide decals is that they are a lot more permanent compared to their water slide counterparts. The water slide counterparts, in comparison, need to have a lacquer brushed onto them in order to seal them to the surface. If not, after time or even with wear, they will simply peel away and flake off the model, which will hurt the look. Also, unlike decals, the transfer has a dull matte finish to them and are void of any decal shine, which is a very big issue when using water slide decals. The markings that are utilized are off the Archer dry transfer set. They include the stars as well as the identification markings that are found on the front, rear, and the side skirts. Unfortunately, when the memory card became corrupted, several of the scenes that were lost were that of the tank's test drive, as well as the rundown of the radio functions. However, one video clip of the test drive was salvaged, and that video clip will be presented in its uncut form. And that concludes this model showcase video for this 1/16 scale radio controlled T26 E3 Pershing. If you like this video, stop by and like us on Facebook, and don't forget to check out eastcoastarmory.com for more 1/6 and 1/16 scale builds and detail components. Thank you.